Wasserman Schultz, Democrat from Florida and the chair of the Democratic National Committee. Thank you so much, Congresswoman, for being with me.
Great to be with you in our hometown.
I know. This is great to have you here in the set. Given the tough political backdrop we just mentioned, even though, the economy's picking up, you have gas prices going down, which is really good news. Can your party hold on to the majority in the Senate with voters not seeing these beneficial aspects to the economy in a personal sense?
Well, I think we are going to hold the Senate, and we're going to hold the Senate for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that we've had 55 straight months of job growth in the private sector, and we've created more than 10 million jobs under President Obama's leadership and congressional Democrats' efforts. Unfortunately, no thanks to the Republicans, because they've really focused on obstruction. But the reason that we're going to hold the Senate, and I think we'll actually win, we'll actually defeat more Republican governors than we lose Democratic senators next Tuesday, so that's a prediction, is because the voters have one main choice. They're going to ask themselves, who has my back? Who's focused on the things I care about, creating jobs, getting the economy into an even more robust posture, investing in education and healthcare? No one talks to me on the campaign trail, Jose, about how many more times we're going to investigate Benghazi, or shutting, or accept to complain about it, shutting the government down, which the Republicans did a year ago to deny people access to health care. And that's the priorities they've focused on, and it's an extreme agenda that voters don't support.
Yet, if you look at all the polls, most Americans think the country's going in the wrong direction by overwhelming numbers. I mean, 60% plus. It's not an easy year for Democrats.
No.
Yet
a midterm is always a tough year, especially a second-term midterm for the president's party.
Okay, so what are the issues you think are key in not losing, for example, the Senate?
Well, like I said, you're right. It is close. It's always close. In fact, the president's party loses on average in a second-term, midterm, 29 seats in the House, and we're not going to come close to that. In fact, I think it's going to be single digits either way. The issues that are the most important to Americans, whether it's Florida or any American, are jobs in the economy, investing in education, and making sure everybody has access to health care and infrastructure. And the Republicans are focused on obstruction. And that is why Congress is at historic lows in unpopularity, because they just want us to work together. And Democrats have, and Republicans have been obstructionists.
One of the interesting things is it's not just the Republicans really kind of giving the president a hard time. You see some Democrats actually kind of turning their backs on the president. Yeah, and by the way, the president just last night was heckled at a campaign event in Wisconsin by an immigration reform demonstrator. Democrats have largely taken the lead on immigration reform, but it seems as though a lot of Democrats are turning their back on the president.
Well, on the contrary, look,
come on. They're not. He's not in the big ads. The Republicans are tying the president to the Democratic candidates.
Here's the thing. I mean, as someone who is on the ballot myself in 6 days from now, I can tell you that any candidate wants to be able to stand on their own. And that's what our candidates are doing. They're focused on the issues that matter to their constituents, and of course, we have a common agenda that really unites us all, and that's jobs and the economy, and making sure we can make those investments that'll ensure that we can move forward. And that's contrasted with Republicans across the board running all over the country who have embraced the Tea Party agenda, who have said, yeah, let's sue the president for doing his job when the Republicans won't even do their job, or let's vote to repeal the Affordable Care Act 56 times and try to deny people health care. That's not what people think we should be working on.
One more question, and this one has to do with Ebola. You have Chris Christie really beating the federal government incompetence drum over this. It's become a political issue. You see it, for example, in the Scott Brown race, where he's been talking about the president's lack of leadership on Ebola. The Ebola czar, are you happy with how things are going?
What we need to focus on, which is what the president's top priority has been, is keeping the American people safe and making sure that we make policy decisions on how to deal with containing Ebola in West Africa and here to make sure that we don't get hysterical, that we listen to our public health experts, that we use science to make decisions about quarantines and how we're going to make sure it doesn't spread. The Republicans, unfortunately, they don't have anything else. So it's no wonder that Chris Christie is rattling his saber and making rash, irresponsible decisions that aren't based in science, because they got nothing else. They're not focused. I mean, Chris Christie has had his state's credit rating downgraded several times. Mm-hmm. They're among the lowest in states in job creation. So if I were Chris Christie, I'd be focused on making sure he can get his own state's house in order, rather than running all over the country, creating more opportunities for obstruction.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. It's always a pleasure. And come back, all right?
I will, for
sure. It's good to have you here in the South Florida set. No, it's not for you at all. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. By the way, just a few hours, President Obama will be briefed by his public health and national